Hello again, my friends, and woo, has it been an exciting 24 hours since my last video. Oh my goodness. I'm sure most people have heard the big news, but I'm planning to save it to the end because there's even more to talk about just a little bit past that, and I'd like to keep things flowing in the same timeline, don't you know? So what you see now is Grums. They didn't see it coming. At Arrowhead GS community team was not prepped or just isn't competent. This community and support rep tweeted that Arrowhead is the one who wanted PSN linking in order to more effectively ban Helldiver accounts, not Sony. The post has since been taken down. She also locked her account. In another tweet, Grums talks about the lead community manager and says the lead community manager for Helldivers II is completely incompetent. She knew about PSN for a long time and failed to brief her team with a coordinated message and instead let them attack gamers and give out confusing and conflicting info. And you see, she says here, well, we always knew this day would get here and it's going about how I expected. I'm actually happy for us to be able to take action against player reports and make the game safer across the board personally. To further the issue with the customer support and moderators within Helldivers 2, Grums reports a Helldivers moderator, Purple Squidian, falsely proclaims that I have sexually assaulted many people. Falsely claims that I sent people to attack their CMs and their families. Currently banning anyone who defends me or even likes a comment that defends me from this slander. Helldivers 2, Pilestead, this is not okay, and your community team is out of control and lying. Also, I am not far right. I'm actually left of center, but these radicals have pushed all sanity into a bucket and kicked it off a cliff. Here you see Purple Squidian, and you see here where Purple Squidian posted, someone who sexually assaulted many people he worked with, lost his position as CEO, and now is a far-right influencer who had people attack more than one of our CMs and their families. I'm pretty sure you can go back through there and find that he never said to attack anybody. And then, of course, Helldivers mod Purple Squidian then doubles down on his allegations. You see here someone responding, please do not slander strangers in public. Not only is it unprofessional, it's wrong. And he says slander implies it was a lie. And then, of course, this fellow keeps going with it. And he says, I haven't deleted anything. You might not like what I said. Mark Kern might not like what I said, but bullies don't like it when people refuse to back down, and I can't stand bullies. And of course, today Sony actually stopped selling the game in the non-PSN countries anymore on Steam. So that would be 170 or 130 or something countries that could no longer buy it. And I saw reports that the people who had bought it could then no longer actually access it. I am not entirely positive about that, but either way, it didn't look good, guys. To switch perspectives, here is Pilestead, the CEO of Arrowhead and Helldivers 2 creative director. And this is, from what I know, the first response to the whole drama overall. This says, is this the moment to tweet? What, you guys don't have phones? Dizzy looking face. On serious note, we are talking solutions with PlayStation, especially for non-PSN countries. Your voice has been heard. I am doing everything I can to speak for the community, but I don't have final say. Down in the comments, you have this fellow saying, why are you acting all blameless? Like, you should have known for probably years that PSN would be a requirement, and I bet it was your call that it would not be enforced in the beginning to help with server load. His response to that was, I do have a part to play. I am not blameless in all of this. It was my decision to disable account linking at launch so that players could play the game. I did not ensure players were aware of the requirement, and we didn't talk about it enough. We knew for 6 months before launch that it would be mandatory for online PlayStation titles. So here's the immediate issue, is they knew that they were going to have to turn it back on. They turned it off at the beginning, and they did not do the important thing that should have been done and is honestly one of the biggest problems between game companies and the communities. They didn't communicate. They didn't say, hey, first, we're turning this off temporarily. And then they didn't repeat it. Realistically, they should have said something every month. Hey, we're not turning this back on yet, but we're working on it. It'll be a thing. Hey, we're not turning this back on yet, but we'll work on it. It'll be a thing. He states that he didn't handle selling the games, so it was on in all the non-PlayStation countries. So one has to assume that's an issue on PlayStation's end, that they continue to sell it in those countries. I'm imagining they assumed those countries would just buy it, try to log in with a PlayStation, be unable to get the PlayStation thing, and then return it. But either way, that's a bad way to do that. And they failed to correctly communicate. And then when it happened, they didn't give a cohesive message to their employees. We're turning back on. We're turning it back on. People still would have been pissed, but you wouldn't have all the speculation circling around the internet. People saying people saying conflicting things, community managers attacking people. He says, "It deeply saddens me that Helldivers game is also being review bombed due to the recent Helldivers 2 controversy. I don't agree with this. I don't agree with going into other games unrelated and review bombing them. Apparently, Magicka and Gauntlet were also review bombed. I did see where Magicka was review bombed. And I don't think he actually meant to be snarky in this comment. I think he was genuinely asking a question. I don't believe English is his first language, and that can definitely change the tone in writing. And he says the original post was about Helldivers 1, which is unrelated to the situation with Helldivers 2. Helldivers 1 does not have a PSN login, so it doesn't make sense for people to target unrelated titles. This is about Helldivers 2 and the PlayStation linking policy. I mean, if you don't have problems with those other games, I don't understand review bombing them. But people are going to do what people do. Now, in the comments again, you have Madam Savvy, who asked, "There's something I don't understand and would appreciate clarification on if possible. You said you knew about the PlayStation Network requirements 6 months before launch. Was that not a discussion at the time of signing the contract? Why did it change? Are they able to make changes like that on the fly with anyone? Would you have said no if possible? I'm assuming your contract with them were signed years prior to launch." And he says, "Thank you for the civil questions. We signed Helldivers 2 8 years ago. It doesn't specify details such as account linking. There are always requirements from publishers during development. This was one of them. We did discuss it, and it was deemed as important for PlayStation to have it for an online title, and it was implemented a couple months before release. When servers exploded on launch, quick decisions had to be made, such as turning off linking and Galactic War stats to be able to take the load off the servers. We couldn't enable it again because of the risk to explode the servers again, and remember the negative feedback around that. And now, finally, the requirement to re-enable came from PlayStation to help with moderation, and we had to comply even though there were concerns there would be backlash. There was backlash, and now we're talking about it again." So that does give us some insight as to how we ended up previous to this, where we are now. However, in what could be considered a victory, PlayStation relented. Helldivers fans, we've heard your feedback on the Helldivers 2 account linking update. The May 6th update, which would have required Steam and PlayStation Network account linking for new players and for current players beginning May 30th, will not be moving forward. We're learning what is best for PC players, and your feedback has been invaluable. Thanks again for your continued support of Helldivers 2, and we'll keep you updated on future plans. And of course, there is plenty of celebrating and hurrahing and all sorts of things. People have won a battle in the war against being spied on in many ways, but that's a separate issue. Having to add something extra, an extra stupid step to playing a video game that you've bought through one launcher already. The launcher thing has for a long time been becoming more and more irritating, and those people who play on consoles don't understand it because, well, they play on consoles. The only title I really am willing to deal with it for is Baldur's Gate 3, and the only reason I'm willing to deal with it for that one is because I bought it early access, and I really enjoyed it early access, and I still enjoy it now. I had been playing Uno, but every time I had to log in through the Ubisoft thing, I got pissed off. And then it would kick me out randomly. That was just a pain in the ass. So now I won't do anything through Ubisoft. I haven't logged into my Origins account in forever. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it to have to deal with the multiple launchers. And more importantly, it's not worth it to have to deal with a launcher. It's not worth it to have to sign into 2 separate things to play one game. That's retarded. In response to this, Pilestad said, "Firstly, I'm impressed by the willpower of the Helldivers 2 community and your ability to collaborate. Secondly, I want to thank our partners and friends at PlayStation for quickly and effectively making the decision to leave PSN linking optional. We together want to set a new standard for what a live game is and how developers and communities can support each other to create the best game experiences." We'll see how that really goes. It's great to see that they've changed their mind and gone with what the player base wants, but we don't know. We don't know if that'll really flow into other things or not. There's a lot of things going on now, and a lot of things gamers are really tired of. But Pirate Software makes a really good point when he says, "When this is undone, I will change my Helldivers 2 review back to positive. Anything less than reversing this it's just words on social media." And here is the list of all the countries that Helldivers is no longer purchasable in, though some are still available apparently. I am not going to actually read all of these because nobody needs to hear me read 170 countries. But that is a lot of places that were able to buy it before and should be able to buy it again now that the network requirement is not mandatory. But there is one more thing to still address, and that's what we do going forward. On May 16th, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut will be releasing on PC. I know a lot of people are excited for it. I kind of am because I really enjoyed Ghost of Tsushima on the PlayStation. I didn't beat it, and I am honestly more likely to beat it on PC just because realistically I am a PC gamer. I'm not going to lie. I prefer playing most of my games on PC. I have a PlayStation 5, I have an Xbox X, I have a Switch, and I have a whole bunch of other consoles, but I've just always been more of a PC gamer at heart. What can I say? But something to keep in mind. If you are someone who plans to play the multiplayer, then the third-party account is required. The PlayStation Network account will be required. And that is something to keep in mind when you make your purchase. We still have a lot of things to fight. Now, I don't know how big of a deal the multiplayer will be to people for Ghost of Tsushima, because realistically, the single player is more of the exciting aspect for people. They're trying to get, I think, single player people to buy into it with the idea of, you can get your Steam, your trophies and stuff on PlayStation if you have it linked and all that. Personally, I don't think that's anything to be excited about, but I'm not a big trophy hunter, so that's never going to be something that drives me to do anything. But if that is something you are interested in and you don't want to have to deal with third-party launchers, that's something you have to consider. You're just for the single player. It's not a worry. That will be optional. But I have to question how long until they require it in single player games, because they are trying to push more and more of it. Time will tell, but for now, we have an excellent victory. This is a great example of how gamers can, in fact, shape and move the market to be what we want it to be. But let me know what you guys think. Are you excited? Are you happy? Are you worried about where this leads us going forward? Please let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. If you really liked it, you can feel free to share it around, and I will catch you later.